Here we go!
This episode felt different from the usual Love Island games because the women were not just watching kissing and flirting. They were watching how the men behaved when they believed the women that they were coupled up with were not there, not watching, and not able to react to what was happening. And I think this episode asks a question that many people ask at some point in a relationship. When your partner isn't around, do they still act like they're in a relationship? Now, I want to be very careful here because this is not a simple who's to blame video. I don't want to reduce it to the men are bad or the bombshells did anything wrong. When we do that, I think we miss the more important conversation. The bombshells were there to create temptation. The men were in a situation that was exciting, public, and probably ego-boosting. And the women were put in the painful position of watching it unfold. So for me, the question is not who do we blame? The question is what gets revealed in someone when they are under pressure, receiving attention, and facing temptation. Because authenticity is not only who we are when things are calm in a relationship. Sometimes authenticity is revealed in what happens to us when we feel wanted, encouraged, or tempted. And I think that is what made this so hard to watch. Well, at least for me. I don't know how you felt. You can let me know in the comments. The women were seeing a version of the men they were attached to that they were not expecting to see. That can create a very specific kind of pain. It can feel like relational whiplash, which is that painful gap between how someone acts when they are with you and how they act when they think you can't see them. So today I want to talk about what we need in order to feel emotionally safe in a relationship when our partner is not in the room. And we have been here with Sincere before. The pattern seems to be that he enjoys the warmth, the attention, and the connection, but struggles when the relationship asks for more from him. I think this Islander said it best. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Pam, therapist and relationship counselor, and I am so excited to be back reacting to Love Island. And just to note, I do not diagnose anyone, I don't label, I don't draw conclusions. I just want to use what we are shown in this highly edited show so that we can learn about relationships, ourselves, emotional dynamics, and personal growth. And I just want to note I will be showing clips from the first 20 episodes. Okay, let's go.
Here we start that motherfucker. Oh!
Oh, he's too happy. He's too happy. Now I'm mad.
This dynamic creates a very different emotional experience than the usual Love Island games. In the games, everyone knows they are playing, everyone knows there are rules, and everyone knows people will kiss and flirt and perform. And even then, feelings can still get hurt. But here, the women are watching something that feels more private. They're watching what happens when the men believe the women are absent. That is why this was painful to watch, because they were watching who the men became when they thought the women were not in the room.
Oh, shit.
What's your favorite position?
Shit, a good doggy.
Oh my God. Casey always doing the most, but people be thinking I'm crazy, like I'm going insane. He always doing the most.
This was really hard on Aniya. She seemed very disappointed in how Casey handled himself. And just to let you know, I am going to be posting a video next Friday about Aniya and KC. And I'm also going to talk about what he said about her when he was at Casa Amor. So, being attracted to someone does not automatically make someone a bad person or unsafe or unfaithful. This is not about saying he noticed another woman, so he's awful. That is not the issue. The issue is what happened to the sense of care for the person that they were already connected to. There is a difference between noticing someone attractive, enjoying attention, and then becoming available to that attention in a way that makes the person that you are connected to disappear from your mind. And to be fair, on Love Island, bombshells are there to Bombshell, that is the structure of the show. They are there to create temptation, stir up feelings, and test connections. So the issue is not simply that the men noticed the women or felt attraction. Attraction is human. The issue is how someone responds to attraction, and that is what matters. Do they remember the person that they are connected to? Do they hold any boundary? Do they carry any care for how this may feel to the person waiting for them? And I understand that on Love Island they are there to explore connections. But if we step back and look at this through the lens of already established relationships, this is where trust becomes so important. Because in a relationship, you're not only trusting the version of someone that you get to see day to day, you are also trusting the version of them that exists when you are not there. You are trusting that they care, respect, and that authenticity that they show you does not disappear the moment someone else gives them attention. And that is why building a strong foundation is one of the most important things that you can do in your relationship. Trust is not only built through chemistry or promises, it is built through emotional safety, mutual investment, and repeated evidence that someone can carry the relationship with care, even when you're not in the room.
Shit.
No!
Get that. Really think so? Oh shit.
This is the part that I think many viewers felt in their bodies. The women were not able to ask questions. They were not able to interrupt. They were not able to say, wait, what are you doing? They just had to sit there and watch. And that creates a very specific kind of powerlessness. Because when you are watching something painful unfold and you cannot engage with the person, your mind starts trying to make sense of it without them. You start wondering what it means. You start asking, is this who he is? Did I miss something? Was I more invested than he was? Is this what it is like when I am not there? And in real relationships outside of Love Island, this is often the feeling people describe when they discover messages, flirting, secrecy, or some kind of emotional betrayal. The pain is not only that you did something, the pain is I was not there and I had no idea that this version of you existed. That can be incredibly destabilizing because now the person has to reconcile two versions of their partner. The version they knew in the relationship and the version they just saw when they were not in the room. Well, on Love Island. And of course, you know what I mean in a real relationship. Things that you find out about your partner when you're not in the room. And that is where trust can come into question because the person starts wondering, what else don't I know? So, why did this feel so different from the games?
First up is Trinity, who must find her way to her couple, Bryce.
Because the games are public and structured. Everyone knows there is a challenge. Everyone knows people will kiss and everyone has shared understanding of what is happening. But this felt different because the men were in a situation that felt more private. The women were watching how they responded when they thought they had more freedom, less accountability, and no immediate emotional consequence. This moment tested internal loyalty. Internal loyalty does not mean you never notice anyone else. It means you still carry the relationship with care when your partner is not standing right in front of you. External loyalty is how I act when you are watching. Internal loyalty is how I carry you when you are not there.
Go to work, baby. Go to work, baby. Go to work, Zach. Go to work. Go to work, baby.
This phrase stood out to me. I do not want to build an entire judgment of someone's character from one phrase, but I do think language matters because it captures the energy of the moment. When someone says, go to work or go to work, baby, the interaction starts to feel less like care and more like performance. And this is where the group dynamic is so important. This is not just temptation. This is temptation plus peer approval. Because now the moment is not only about one man responding to attention from a bombshell, it becomes about being watched by the other men, encouraged by the other men, and possibly rewarded by the other men for leaning in. And I think this is one of the painful layers for the women watching. They are not only seeing a man become available to another woman, they are seeing the social energy around him almost pull him further into it. In a group like this, especially with men trying to prove themselves to other men, the pressure to perform can become stronger than the pull to stay emotionally considerate of the women that they were coupled up with.
He said, go to work, baby.
This is where the emotional injury starts to form, because for the women watching, it is not only he is being tempted, it is other people are encouraging him to lean in into the temptation, and that adds another layer of hurt. It can feel humiliating to watch someone you care about become part of a group moment where your feelings seem completely absent. The women are watching the men laugh, cheer, and encourage each other, while the women themselves are sitting there absorbing the emotional impact. And that is painful because it can make you feel forgotten in two ways. First, you feel completely forgotten by the person you are connected to, and second, you feel forgotten by the energy of the whole group in that moment. Even though the men do not know the women are watching, the women are still watching a room where no one seems to be carrying them in mind. No one seems to be remembering there is someone back at the villa who may be hurt by this. It is not that the men know that the women are watching and do not care. It is that the women are watching what happens when the men think they are not being watched at all.
Hey, I was the worst present I've ever gotten. I really do think that, like, this is the best thing. Like, let him go crazy. Let him pull bitches, twerk ass, because he's going to do it at the club at home. I'd rather go alone than with a lustful man. Let us see how crazy he's going to act, because I bet you it's going to be 20 times worse when we go home.
I think Melanie is recognizing something really important here. She is recognizing that it matters to know whether someone can still hold the relationship with care when you are not in the same room, as I have been saying. And that hurts. Sometimes it hurts deeply to see something that changes how safe you feel with someone. But sometimes painful information is also clarifying information. It may not feel like a gift in the moment, and I would not want to minimize the pain of it, but there are times when seeing something clearly gives you information you needed before you became more invested. Because part of dating is not only asking, do I like this person? It is also asking, can I trust how this person moves when I am not there? And Melanie may be realizing that trust cannot only be based on how someone treats you when they are with you. It also has to include whether their care for you still exists when you are out of sight.
What the yo, look. Yo, what the this, man? What the oh no. There's like 6 Corbins on there. Oh my god.
That looks like way more than 6.
Yeah, it does.
That might be like a dozen.
Now the men are reminded about who they were coupled up with as the new men are shipped to the villa. And this is where the tables turn, because now some of the men begin to feel threatened. They are no longer only in the position of receiving attention, being pursued, and enjoying the excitement of the bombshells. Now they are being asked to imagine the women having options too. And that shift means something. Sometimes people do not fully feel the weight of their own behavior until they imagine the other person doing something similar. It is one thing to enjoy attention when you are the one receiving it, and it is another thing to picture the person you are connected to receiving that same attention from someone else. And this is where the relationship becomes real again, because suddenly the women that they were coupled up with are not just back at the villa. Now she is a person with choices, attention, desirability, and the ability to emotionally move on. That can create jealousy, but it can also create clarity. It reminds the men that the connection that they have been treating lightly or may have been treating lightly is attached to a real person with real feelings. And if they want that relationship, they have to understand that they are not the only ones deciding what happens next. She gets to decide too. She gets to decide if she still feels safe, if she still feels chosen. and if what she saw changed something for her.
She just always makes me feel like kind of special. It's hard. Just really like her, you know? She like wrote that love letter. I didn't like realize like how like strongly she like felt. Like I'm just missing her right now.
Bryce appears to genuinely miss Trinity. And this is an important contrast because being around other women did not seem to pull him further away from Trinity. If anything, it seemed to remind him of what he values about her and what he values about being in a relationship with her. Sometimes distance or temptation can clarify what someone wants. It can make the original relationship feel more meaningful because now there is something to compare it to. But that does not automatically remove the hurt. And it does not mean that you should be comparing people to the person that you're with. Because even if Bryce is realizing I miss Trinity, Trinity still had the experience of watching him interact with the other women without him knowing. She could see it. And that means that there may be some repair work to do. This is where two things can be true at the same time. Bryce may genuinely care about Trinity and miss her, and Trinity may still need to talk about what it felt like to watch him, how she was hurt, and what she needs from him in order to feel emotionally safe again. And because Bryce has no idea that Trinity saw what she saw, he may be coming back with clarity while she may be sitting with pain. That difference matters. One person may be thinking, this made me realize how much I care about you, while the other person, Trinity, may be thinking, but I had to watch something that made me question how safe I feel with you. So the repair can not only be, but I missed you. The repair has to include, I want to understand what that was like for you to watch. Now, I understand that Bryce eventually discovered that Trinity was with another man, and that means that there may be repair needed on both sides.
Very like hard because obviously I have feelings for somebody else. So I'm like trying to push that aside and be open. But like in the back of my mind, I'm like I really want to be with Bryce.
All I can say is that I hope they're able to engage in repair, because if they can, that could take their relationship much further. Conflict itself does not have to be the thing that breaks a relationship. Sometimes what matters even more is what both people do after the hurt happens. Can they slow down? Can they listen? Can they take responsibility without becoming defensive? Can they care about the impact even if they did not intend to cause pain? Because conflict and repair are often where you learn how sustainable a relationship really is. It is where you learn whether the relationship can hold honesty, hurt, accountability, and care all at the same time.
I don't want to be someone that like you just talk to for a good time or for fun. Like, but I don't think that's what Bryce. I'm not around. I don't know what he's doing. And there might be somebody who might be better than me, prettier, smarter.
I will say this. It appears that Trinity and Bryce are the ones who are very clear in missing each other and afraid of losing each other. And that feels important to me because sometimes you can see when someone is not just worried about being replaced, but genuinely sad about the thought of losing the person that they care about. But this is also where comparison can become so painful. Because when Trinity is watching Bryce with someone else, she is not just wondering, does he like her? She may be wondering, does he like her more? Does he think that she is prettier, smarter, easier to be with, more exciting? Did he find something in her that he did not find in me? And that kind of comparison can be brutal because suddenly you are not only watching your partner with someone else, you are asking yourself, what does she have that I don't? And that is what makes this hurt so complicated. There seems to be something real between Trinity and Bryce, and when something feels real, the fear of losing it can make every comparison feel even more frightening.
What things do you have in common with Titi? What things do you have in common with Naya?
I have nothing in common with Naya, bro.
That broke my heart. And rather than say more here, keep an eye out for my next video where I will talk about KC and Aniya. I have a lot to say about that. It's coming next Friday. Stay tuned.
But do you think seeing Kenzie with someone, do you think that shit would affect?
Nah, I haven't thought about Kenzie since I've been here.
Corbin says that he hasn't thought about Kenzie at all, and I hardly know what to say to that, because if you care about someone, they usually live somewhere in your mind, even when they are not right in front of you. That does not mean that you think about them every second, but not at all. That tells me that Corbin may have been more interested in desire, chase, and pursuit than in actually building something with Kenzie, which sadly, we already knew that about Corbin. But now we have evidence of that.
Kenzie and I, we had a great connection, but the maturity level on some of these conversations, like, it just wasn't there for me. I'm glad that I took the step to, focus on myself instead of letting other factors decide how I move in the future.
Well, I will be interested to see if Corbin can build a relationship. He says that the maturity level wasn't there for him with Kenzie, and yet emotional maturity is not only about whether the other person meets your standard, it is also about how clearly and respectfully you communicate when your feelings change. Because if he was only interested when there was desire, chase, and pursuit, but then stopped thinking about her the moment she was not in front of him, that says something too. It does not mean that Kenzie was the right person for him. Maybe she wasn't. But it does raise the question of whether he is looking for a relationship or whether he is more drawn to the excitement of being wanted. And next, we see the Islanders open the pictures of the people that they were coupled up with, cuddled up and kissing other people. This really hurt many of the women.
She's like low-key hurting, like low-key crushing me.
And then the men got pictures as well.
I feel like guilt. I feel horrible. I feel like Hader is just going to get the one of me kissing Alana, and now she's just going to think that I've instantly jumped ship. But like, I've been literally saying the whole time, like, I miss her.
Well, it's hard to know if Zach would have stayed coupled up with Alana if she had not been asked to leave the island. I don't want to draw conclusions based only on what we have been shown. I do think that he liked Kata, but I also think he wanted the freedom to explore.
Even night, like with the way she came down.
She came in the hottest.
I think I owe it to myself to explore because I haven't been tested yet.
He says he was upset with Kata and owes it to himself to explore. And again, I know that is what they are supposed to do on Love Island. But to his credit, he did tell Alana this.
I'm like really good with Kata, so it's very weird. But like, it feels comfortable. Like, I was excited to see you come down yesterday. But then like, I did think of the villa. Because all those boys on the boat rocking up to the villa.
I think what may have happened with Zach is that when he thought Kata could possibly be with someone else, the connection seemed to feel more real for him. Not necessarily because his feelings came out of nowhere, but because the possibility of losing her made him feel the weight of what was already there. But we can't be sure about where Zach's heart is until we see how things unfold between him and Kata.
What hurts the most is he was holding Melanie's face. I know that look. She's looked at me like that before, you know what I mean? I would have much rather seen a picture of them two kissing than the picture that I seen.
Sincere, sincere, sincere. What can I say? Because what he says here is very revealing.
I built this good connection with Amora, and it's like, she's telling me all the right things. She's making me feel good. She's kind of like reading my mind in a sense of like what I want. It's hard because like me and Melanie have had these ups and downs and these trials and tribulations. But in here, I've only had feel-good moments.
Well, relationships are not only about feel-good moments, and we have been here with Sincere before. The pattern seems to be that he enjoys the warmth, the attention, and the connection, but struggles when the relationship asks for more from him. Consistency, emotional responsibility, and true investment. I think this Islander said it best.
Nah, Sincere is sucking lip. That's nuts. He's been the definition of wants his cake and wants to eat it too.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. That is a wrap for today. Make sure to come back next week for my video about KC and Aniya. See you then.